All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some current events, some life updates, LPDS updates, world updates, stuff like that. Stuff that some of us care about, some of us don't. I don't know. Should be interesting. And then I provide a nice little recap of a concert I went to earlier in the week with the Creature. Very excited about that, about recapping that, I guess I could say. All that coming up, plus a cage fact right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, the show that talks about nothing, tries to find the lessons in everything, and we have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine was pretty decent, pretty productive, busy, a lot going on, and it ended very well, and we'll get into that into the junction. But I hope everybody else had a pretty decent, productive week. I know sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes we have tough weeks, a lot of bumps in the road, work-wise, family-wise, money-wise. I hope that if you're dealing with one of those weeks, you get a chance to hit the reset button a little bit. We all need it. Let me tell you something. I had a productive good week, but I'm tired. I almost didn't want to record at all today because I was just drained mentally. I'm gonna definitely hit the reset button after this though because the show must go on. I love doing this, and there's no better way for me to finish off the week than working on the LPDS and being part of your lives in some way, shape, or form. So I'll be able to decompress afterwards, but I hope everybody is taking the chance to do that in some way, shape, or form, and taking care of yourselves a little bit. Don't get too crazy, but a nice little break every once in a while is helpful. Trying to think what all went on this week for me worth talking about. I did trivia night again with the Creature. We did not win this time, but we came very close. And I'm not gonna say it was rigged this trivia night, but the deck was stacked against us. It was Friends themed trivia from the TV show Friends, not about your regular friends, not general friends relationships and stuff like that. Apparently, some people thought that's what it was. But anyway, because it was a TV show, there was all these. I don't want to sound negative. There was all these people from crowds that I would most likely never hang out with, unless I had a friend who hung out with those crowds, or I had a significant other who came from those crowds, which would be rare. But that's the only. It would be an indirect connection to people like this, crowds like that. And like I said, I don't want to be too negative, but these people were not my kind of people. Not my kind of people. They crowded the whole bar and facility. We almost didn't get a seat because of it. It was just jam packed with people who thought they all knew Friends. There had to have been 30 plus teams that started out the trivia. And then there was also this team that I'm actually happy they didn't end up winning the whole thing. There was a tiebreaker at the end between a couple of teams, and they were one of them in the first place tiebreaker. But apparently, this team is historically always winning trivia. And two things that I find very fishy about the whole situation with this team, and I've only been to trivia twice. with Creature at this establishment. He's more of a regular at this place. It's near his house. This team not only always wins, they quote unquote help out the trivia dungeon master. I don't know what they're called. The guy who does the trivia, who sets it up. They help him out in themes and other stuff behind the scenes to keep the trivia fun and people coming back for more gifts and things like that, prizes and stuff like that. So that's a little suspect that they're somewhat tied to the trivia dungeon master. And then they also happen to sit next to the dungeon trivia master during trivia. He has his computer up with however he sets things up. He's got the questions that pop up on a bunch of big screens around the bar. And then his separate screen on the laptop is where he's got like answers and timelines and stuff, all his other stuff that he does. And they're sitting right there next to it. Oh, and they always have that spot. Like they're always able to get the spot near the dungeon master, no matter how crowded the place is, no matter what's going on. And of course, with all these ringers coming in for French trivia, this team still manages to make it to the top spot. Now, again, they lost in the tiebreaker, and I'm actually surprised. It must have been one of those things where the dungeon master was just like, "Hey, leave it. Let other people win." Because the tiebreaker was, I'm putting up 6 questions on the board. You have to write down the answers as fast as possible. And the first team to write the answers down and slap them next to me on the table here on the bar and gets it correct is the winner. They're already set up next to him. So it must have been a little, from the dungeon master, hey, let it go. This time, people are going to start suspecting. And I'm already suspecting. Based on the intel I've gathered on their previous efforts and wins, and now I'm putting the pieces together, what I've seen in the past couple weeks going there. They didn't win when we were there the first time. That's for damn sure. They might not have been there. That could have been why. I don't know. I'm confident we still would have won. We only got one question wrong the entire trivia night. That night we won. So, even if we got to a tiebreaker, I'm confident we still would have beat them. But like I said, we lost fair and square. We did not make the top three, the three-way tie. We did get some questions wrong, so I'm not arguing that point. But I do think that it was definitely something's fishy is going on between that team and the dungeon master, the trivia dungeon master, the DTMD, dungeon master daddy. So anyway, it was still a fun night. All things considered, the food took over an hour to get there because they were not equipped for the amount of people at this. I don't know why they thought it wasn't going to be an absolute madhouse at French trivia. The first 2 weeks ago, as soon as they popped up on the announcements, like, oh, next week's going to be French trivia, the team that I was with Creature, we all knew immediately, like, oh, this place is going to be a madhouse. These people are going to come out of the woodwork thinking they're all Friends masters. That crowd, the Friends crowd, they live and die by it. They're like the Swifties of the TV sitcom, of the 90s era sitcom. Crazy, devoted, and I don't get it. But anyway, we still managed to have a fun time. That's what we do. At the LPDS, we always have a good time doing it. It's right there in the headline. So, moving on. I don't even know what I want to hit first. Here's a little conspiracy Epstein update for you. Because like I said, I'm hitting that. I'm staying on top of it. And I received word from a trusted source, and then I verified that trusted source. Ghislaine Maxwell, after speaking with the Department of Justice, the assistant director of the DOJ, right after that discussion, that 2 day discussion with the DOJ, she gets moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. It's the same prison. It's for white collar crimes, nonviolent crimes. That quack lady that created that company Theranos or however you pronounce it, that was the lady who built the fake company on blood testing for like it was like a new way of testing blood for diabetes, like insulin levels, stuff like that, I believe. And the whole thing was fugazi. All the reports and analytics she was giving out to investors and stuff was all made up. It was all fake. The whole company was garbage. She was a bunko artist, and she started dressing up like Steve Jobs in the black turtlenecks, and she changed her voice to sound deeper to be more like a man because she thought it commanded more influence and power that way. She's there, and then some bimbo from the Real Housewives of New Jersey is there, and now Ghislaine Maxwell is there. Once again, somebody who has been convicted of child sex trafficking with victims identified. Names have been, protected, but there's victims, but there's no culprits still. That's still crazy to me. There is victims and there is the traffickers, but there is no culprits. They were assaulted by ghosts, phantoms, spirits. Anyway, she's now in a minimum security prison. It's like they said they have dormitories. It's like a camp. They get yard time. They get to go out and play on sports teams. They get to work. I think they're encouraged to work, actually. Recommended that they get a job in there, in the clink. Right after. So, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows when the guard's going to fall asleep and the cameras are going to cut out again? So stay tuned for, it boggles my mind. There's got to be a reason. Maybe they're going to release some information. Maybe she gave them some good info, and they're like, "Hey, we can't pardon you, but we can at least send you to this camp, to this girls' camp, and you can hang out there for your sentencing, and you'll be on parole soon enough with good behavior." Maybe that's the deal they struck with her, and they actually have information. Or maybe she agreed, I won't speak out and release all the details if you hook me up with this campsite. I don't know. I'm still worried regardless, even if this is what she wanted. I need her to be guarded. We need her to be guarded. Don't forget, old Jeffy was guarded in a max security facility, and he still found a way to get offed. So the whole thing stinks. It's all fishy. Stay tuned for more. We'll see. Anyway, moving on to more, I don't know, funny news. The Yankees trade line has come and gone. The trade deadline has come and gone in the baseball world. There was a promise of big moves by Brian Cashman, and what I would say, based off of how it ended, I would say the moves were mid-level at best. They were certainly not big moves, but they were not terrible moves. Mid-grade, fine, whatever. I'm not going to get into the whole opinion on the whole situation, on everything, all the pieces. But they did get some pitching. They did half fill holes at very little, but it was steps in a positive direction in all things considered, considering the hole that they dug themselves for the past several years to create this situation and a whole bunch of other stuff too. Peraza's gone. He's with the Angels now. That's bittersweet for me. That's like a LeMahieu situation because he was good and he was a top prospect and he absolutely should have got the call up before Volpe, ahead of Volpe. And combine that with the fact that, again, just like Volpe and Jazz Chisholm and the other guys on the team, they care only about home runs and exit velo, so they didn't actually play to their strengths. And they don't develop players anymore. They don't know how to coach and develop players. They don't seem to care to learn how to coach and develop players. So he ended up being a stinker. And, I hope he does well with the Angels. I mean, I always liked him anyway. So I hope he does well. And I think he's going to do better. He just needs a little bit of actual coaching and guidance. And again, play to his strengths. He's not a home run guy. He was an elite fielder, and he was a get-on-base guy and caused trouble on the base paths, like Volpe, minus the elite fielder part. So I think they ruined him. He had also potential too. Volpe has hit his athletic ceiling, so whatever. They just backed the wrong horse to push as the next Derek Jeter. So that's going to come back. That's a serious buzzkill for them. And then they got some pitching. Okay, great. Now what's funny about it is literally the day that they put in the three pitchers, the three bullpen guys that they just traded for, and that Cashin was sucking off as like these big moves that I made. Look at what I did. They go ahead and give up 7 runs in like 3 innings and blow the game against the Marlins. They were up like 7-0, 9-0 at one point. Something ridiculous. And they ended up losing the game 13-12. Abysmal right out of the gate. Now, I don't think that's going to be. It's funny because it happened right after Cashman is puffing his chest like who the hell he is, and then literally the second these guys get in pinstripes, they shit the bed. That's what is funny to me. But I also know realistically that's like they're going to be okay. The moves were not bad. They weren't terrible moves. It was just, this small sample size was very funny. I'm not happy they lost because obviously I want the Yanks to win, but losing to the Marlins like that is embarrassing. No chance they win the World Series. I would say it's as close to a 0% chance as you can get for a team that's got an 80% chance of making the playoffs this year. They're still most likely going to make the playoffs. But as close as you can get to 0% chance of winning the World Series for a playoff team, that's where they're at right now. So we'll see how it goes. Prove me wrong. I would love to be proven wrong because I want them to win it all. I just think they stink, and they're not going to this year. Anyway, with that, let's just get into the good stuff. I don't have much today, so that's probably good for everybody. But get into the good stuff. Step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by the SS Fatso, the cruise ship for tubbies. Are you looking for a vacation, but you're morbidly obese and can't stand the thought of going to a place where everything is spread out and you have to move more than 60 feet just to grab a quick 5-course lunch? Then book your next adventure on the SS Fatso. The SS Fatso is a certified pre-owned cruise ship made of vibranium, so it's light and strong to be able to handle hundreds of the nation's largest cattle-sized guests with only a 50% chance of capsizing. Enjoy the one-story ship deck that features no stairs, scooter access everywhere, and each room has a window that opens directly into the buffet. So to continue laying around like a beached whale all day while enjoying all you can eat chicken McChicken sandwiches, but do it in international waters instead of your hoarder's lair, book your stay on the SS Fatso today by visiting www.unsinkablemallybrown.com. And if you use the promo code EdmundFatsGerald, you'll get 29% off VIP access to the milkshake bar. That sounds like a dream to some people, I'm sure. Not this guy, though. Anyway, what are we doing here? The Cage Fact. Everybody, I think, has seen in the past Andy Samberg's impression of Nic Cage. They actually did a skit, I think it was like 2012. It was a long time ago. On SNL on the Weekend Update when Andy Samberg was doing Nic Cage and the real Nic Cage was there and they were riffing off each other. Well, Samberg is out there pushing his season 2 of his cartoon show Digman. Dick Dingman or Dink Dingman, whatever his name is. It's a little comedy cartoon. I forgot if it's on Comedy Central or what. But he's out there pushing the next season of it. I forgot somebody else is going to be on it this season doing a voice. I forgot who it was. It wasn't Weird Al, I don't think. It might have been somebody else. Anyway, he said that the voice of Digman, his rendition of the character, because Sandberg plays Digman, he's not just the creator of the show, he's the star. He does Dick Digman or whatever his name is. He said he modeled the voice of Digman off of his Nic Cage impression, which he has been working on for years and years and years, saying, he's watched thousands of hours of Nic Cage footage that he's been curating this impression, and it influenced the Digman persona, not just the impression, but the whole character itself. So this is just to show you guys the span of influence that Nic Cage has on people. You want to talk about 6 degrees of separation? What is it, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? You can always get back to Kevin Bacon. You can always get back to Cage. Forget Kevin Bacon. I don't dislike KBD, but everything always leads back to Nic Cage. His influence is everywhere. It's universal. It's immortal. What does Thanos say? It is inevitable. I am inevitable. That's what Thanos said, right? Somebody who likes Marvel, help me out here. Anyway, the show's not bad. If you like funny cartoons, it's very American Dad-esque. Like the main character is the star, but he's also kind of a bumbling idiot. It's supposed to be like a funny joke satire Indiana Jones type character. Like he might be an alcoholic or something too. I don't know what it is, but it's not bad. It's better now knowing that he's channeling his inner Nic Cage to produce this character, the voice and some of the cartoon mannerisms and what have you. So go check it out. I forgot what it's on. It might be Comedy Central. It might be Cartoon Network. It might be some other place. Who the hell knows? Go Google it. Look it up. So anyway, there you go. That's a Cage fact. You're welcome. Moving over to the Junction. Spin the logo up. So I'll keep this brief because I don't want to blab on too much about it. But the creature and I went to the Weird Al Yankovic concert. It was here in Houston, really the Woodlands part of Houston, Texas. And it was tremendous. Now, to paint the picture a little bit for you, this was in, I don't know, September of last year, I want to say. the tickets, I found out about the tickets going on sale, the pre-sale for this show, and basically a year later. It was a long time before. It was sometime last year, I believe, that I bought these tickets. My sister said that she purchased tickets for 2025, and I checked the website and I saw he was going to be in the area. So I purchased tickets. And when I got them, I think I mentioned this before, when I got them pre-sale, they were the seats were selling out as I was trying to pick seats. I was grabbing two tickets, and as I was clicking on them, they're like, "Oh, sorry, these seats are no longer available." Still was able to get seats not in the back of the theater where there was just standing room only. You can rent chairs for $10 or bring your own chairs or whatever. But I was shocked that initially I was shocked that he had that much of a fan base all over the place like this. It wasn't until after that I took the time to think back to the span of influence that Weird Al has had and his impact and his body of work, you could say, how long he's been doing the damn thing. And it's been a long time. So I got these tickets with the intention of having, no offense to Creature, but having somebody else to take. It didn't work out. But that's okay because I told Creature the day I bought it, I was like, listen, I bought two tickets for this reason, but should that not happen, are you cool with, like, I'm not trying to dog on you, but you understand the nature of the situation here. What the goal is. He's like, yeah, absolutely. Got your back. And he had my back, and he made it work. So he was able to come with me to the concert. Now, I have been a Weird Al fan for a long time. If you don't know who Weird Al is, I'm not going to dog on you too much on the show here, but go look it up. I'm sure you've heard one of his songs before somewhere. I promise you have, and you just didn't realize it. Now, again, for those who don't know, he does parody songs. He's a jokester. He's a satirist. I don't know the pronunciation. I'm not a good pronunciator. He is, though. I'll get into that in a sec. But he's been doing parody songs forever. And I can't listen, honestly. If I talked about this before, I apologize. I don't remember. But I'm so excited about Weird Al. I don't mind talking about it again. If I'm boring you with repetition, sorry. But anyway, my first cassette I ever bought was a Weird Al cassette. Bad Hair Day. I think I got it in 94. I don't remember when it came out, if it came out in 94 or not. Somewhere around that time is when I believe it came out and when I got it. And I would venture a guess that the song on there, Amish Paradise, might have been his breakout song to more of the mainstream. If I were to venture a guess, just the way most people who have any sort of familiarity with Weird Al, they all know about Amish Paradise. They know everybody who's a Weird Al yanker. All the yankers know all the songs, obviously. They're all familiar. But the people who know of him and are not yankers officially, they all know Amish Paradise. So if I were to venture a guess, I would say that was the song and maybe the album that kind of pushed him a little bit further along into mainstream. And then towards the late 90s, early 2000s, even they call it the aughts, the 2010s time frame. That's when he started getting into bigger, more popular pop culture type songs. Some Lady Gaga stuff, some Adele stuff, Taylor Swift stuff, Miley Cyrus stuff, rappers, Robin Thicke, the dude with the big Smokey the Bear hat. I forgot his name. He started mashing up, current songs that he was putting out current parodies to current songs. Historically, he was putting out a lot of parodies to slightly older songs. Some of them were current for the time, but there was still some a decent amount of songs that he was parodying old songs. So it wasn't. I don't know if it was translating over to the fan base as much or to music fans in general until he started getting bigger and then it started catching fire a little bit more. But I Got Bad Hair Day. It had Amish Paradise on it, and he crushes it. If you haven't listened to Amish Paradise, listen to it, and then go listen to the original Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. That was like the signature soundtrack song of Dangerous Minds, the movie with Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer. Also, Tony Montana's gal in Scarface. She was in some other stuff too, obviously. But so I've been a fan of his for years. Now, here's the thing that's crazy. I started my fandom then in the early 90s, mid 90s. And I thought that's basically when he started too. I saw he had a show. I think it was on public access. It might have been on like a Cartoon Network style channel back in the day on the weekends, some Weird Al show, and it was weird and strange. And if you didn't get it, you didn't like it wasn't funny to you. It was just his niche, his unique style, and he would have fake interviews. He would take clips from real celebrity interviews and then splice in his wackiness with it. Like his whole show did that. He had songs, he had little bits and skits and stuff. It was. And then I was starting to get more albums from his, more cassettes than CDs. And I was thinking they were all new because they were the first time I was seeing them at Sam Goody or Coconuts or wherever they were at. And it wasn't until years later I was looking at these and thinking like, oh, he didn't just put out these albums for older songs now. These were out there. He's just gaining popularity, so the music stores are starting to put the shit out more frequently now, which I'm happy about because I would have missed out on years of Weird Al's hits. And I'm glad I caught him at least, early enough for me. They were still late in the game, but I was so dumb I'm still kind of dumb, but I was so dumb as a kid I didn't even realize that his album Fat came out in the 80s when Michael Jackson put out his album Bad. I thought he just decided years later to make that album and have that song and do the Michael Jackson parody stuff. But he did it when Jackson put the album out. So he's been doing this since the 80s. And I listened to a whole bunch of Weird Al stuff. I might still have the cassettes and some of the CDs somewhere. Obviously, I don't need, you can just go on Spotify or Apple or YouTube's now to play his stuff. But he's got so much stuff out there now that I lost track of a lot of it. But he's gotten so much to the point now that he's using old songs to parody with new topics. Like, for instance, when the Star Wars prequels came out I forgot when it was, 2000s maybe? One of the Star Wars geeks can correct me on that. But when those came out with Anakin Skywalker and Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn, the child trafficker and all that, he used old songs from like the 70s, 60s eras, 70s, maybe early 80s, and made them about Star Wars, and they hit. So he found a new way to get some old songs back into the mix because he brought up good popular topics as he was getting bigger and weirder and more popular. And then a few years ago, he he won a Grammy, and it was like I don't know, for the Yankers out there listening in. I think that if you, especially if you're my age and you started out as a kid listening to him, that was a big deal for us. That was such a milestone. I'm sure it was a big deal for him, obviously, but for the whole music industry, parody singers are not like normally it. They're sort of it's low hanging fruit. I feel like in the music industry, it's like you're a hack because you're doing parody. It's almost like prop comics. There can only be one at any given time. Right now, it's Carrot Top. Before it was Gallagher. In the comic world, like prop comics are not really it unless you're the one. And forever, he was not even the one. There was nobody else really doing it that was as good as him and as popular. But even still, in the music world, he was not getting his flowers. He was not getting his recognition. And then when he won that Grammy, man, I remember I believe I saw it on like Tom Green had his own show. He still got his own show in a different capacity, but he had his own show and he presented Weird Al with like, here is like your first platinum album to go along with your Grammy or whatever. We framed it for you. We put it in a shadow box for you so that you can, because we notice you. We notice how long you've been working at this and what a big deal it is that you got whatever it was. Number one song. I forgot what it was that Tom Green presented him, but it was a big deal. It got me worked up a little bit thinking about it. So when I got these tickets to the concert, I was like, this is a no-brainer. I have to go. Even if I wasn't able to find anybody and the creature had to work, I was going to go by myself because he wasn't doing concerts in the same way he started with this tour. At least not, I wasn't aware of it. Plus, I was also in a different times of my life, bouncing around the military and college, doing all this other stuff. So I wasn't, I don't go to concerts to begin with. I'm not a concert guy when it comes to music. Most of the time, concerts are tough for me because they're too loud, too many people, and the singing is not as good as like on the album. Now I know the concerts are what they want you to go to, the artists. That's where they're making their nut more so than albums is the concerts, and they get to connect with the audience. I get it. I understand it. I don't dislike them for that reason. But usually it's not as good. And I like to be able to hear myself think a little bit. And most concerts, you're not doing that. And then if you have a singer or a performer who does a lot of choreography while they're singing, they're certainly not going to sound as good because they're getting tired up there. Don't forget, for their music videos and stuff, they sing and record the singing, and then they do the choreography and just lip sync. When you have to do both at once, it's more tiring. So the quality is less. Or they'll lip sync at the concert and they get busted and it's a catastrophe. So generally speaking, I'm not a concert guy, so I'm not really looking for concerts to go to. So I'm sure he was maybe doing tours in a different capacity, and I missed it until now. But he's done so much. He had a biopic. Is it biopic or biopic? I don't know. Biopic movie about him. I think Harry Potter plays him. Dwight Schrute's in it. Tenacious D is in it. Nacho Libre. I think he did some of the songs for the soundtrack to it, obviously. He's done the theme song for Captain Underpants, which I didn't know about. He's done some songs, I think the latest Naked Gun that came out with Liam Neeson, he's done music in that. He might have a role in it. I don't know. I don't specifically know. He did the theme to the joke satire movie Spy Hard that Leslie Nielsen was in years ago. It was a satire movie on like The Fugitive and spy movies, I believe, called Spy Hard. And he did the parodies, theme song for that. He's got music videos out there. He's He plays the accordion, the guitar, the keyboard. So to finally be able to actually see him in person. Again, this was the first cassette I bought. It was just tremendous, just the opportunity. Before I even knew, like, I still went in there thinking, like, oh, this is, it's not going to be as good as on the soundtracks or the cassettes or whatever, but still, it'll be fun. I'll get to see him in person. I get to see the human person a couple 100 feet away from me. But when I tell you this show was tremendous, it was tremendous. The opener of the show, this is, look, very quickly, no shade to Weird Al. Obviously, he is a showman in his own right. If he put on a great performance, I'm going to talk about it. But I have to, I have to give props to his opening act, special guest Puddles Pity Party. Now, if you'd never heard of Puddles Pity Party, I'm not surprised. I only vaguely remember him. I thought I saw a clip of him on America's Got Talent years ago. I remember the visual because he's a guy, he's a musician who dresses up like the sad clown, Pagliacci, from the Italian opera, the sad clown. White. Also, if you watch Seinfeld, they went to go see Pagliacci and Crazy Joe Davolo dressed up like that. White face, white costume, makeup, what have you. And he wears a little crown. Puddles wears a little crown. And I remember seeing that visual somewhere. I was like, man, I feel like I've seen this before, but I don't know anything about this Puddles Pity Party. It's a Weird Al concert. It's gonna be in the same realm. Like, here's something kooky. And this guy absolutely blew me away. I think the creature liked him as much too. I'm not going to speak for him, but this guy absolutely blew me away. Not only was he a quality singer, and that's an understatement. This guy's got pipes and he's got range. But he was a showman in every sense of the word, a performer and entertainer in every sense of those words. He had little props he was throwing out to the audience. He had little costumes. He brought people up stage and put them in these little costumes and then sang. He had slideshows behind him to go along with his songs. He did cover songs too, but he made them his own. I highly encourage you to go look him up on Spotify, on YouTube. Look up Puddles Pity Party, My Heart Will Go On. See, there's videos on YouTube. Watch the video because it lines up a little bit more what we saw at the concert. Because the PowerPoint behind it lines up better. You want to see the PowerPoint. I'm not going to give it away. No spoilies, right? Because everybody, can't be spoiling anything. But go check out Puddles. Immense talent. I became an instant fan. An instant fan of Puddles. What a performance by him. What pipes and range. He crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. And also, he doesn't speak on stage outside of singing. He is a mime. The character is a mime. So he's not speaking. So when he's not singing, when the song's not happening, he's just doing miming stuff, but he's communicating to the crowd. He's not doing the standard, I'm in the box, I'm pulling a rope. He is using gestures and mannerisms to have a communication and a conversation with the audience while he's getting ready for his next song. Just truly, I don't think the guy is nearly as popular as he should be and as recognized as he should be, in my opinion. And I'm also going to say this too. A lot of the songs that are on Spotify that he's singing, I also don't think those do him justice. They're very good, but they're a little softer and they don't quite display all of his abilities. Some of the songs don't. So I'm digging through his Spotify, all the songs available on his on Spotify and Apple, and through YouTube to find where it really extenuates his range. That's not the word. Accentuates his range, and really puts it on display just how great he was. And if he's listening to this, he's not listening to it. Maybe I'll clip this and post it and tag him in it so he can hear this. But if he's listening to this, I can't come up with enough praise for him. Words cannot truly encapsulate what he deserves in praise and accolades. And I don't say that lightly. There are a billion singers and artists out there that are all very good. The fact that he is not a mainline talent, a mainstream talent, a household name, that boggles my mind. Maybe it's because he is weird. He has a very niche, a very unique, eccentric style to him. And he doesn't have a lot of original songs. Maybe that's it, because he does a lot of covers. And covers aren't, popular cover songs or cover performances are done by artists who also have their own albums, a ton of their own albums. He doesn't have a ton of his own albums out, and a lot of his albums are mostly a lot of cover songs, his versions of songs already. So that could be the reason why he's not as popular. Again, there is the hierarchy in the music industry of what people care about the most. And parody and covers only is not that popular, but I'm so glad that Weird Al put him on the tour and recognize him, because he deserves to be recognized. I think maybe Weird Al saw, like, this guy is similar to me, where he's got talent. And more people need to see it. And I had to, go through the slop and decades of work and flying under the radar as one of the weird, the strange guys in music before I got the breakout to be mainstream. And I want to help this guy. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Not that you literally have to pity Puddles in this sense, but not only did he fit into the whole atmosphere of the concert, the guy crushed it. And if I ever met him in person, he's 6'8", by the way. Puddles is 6'8". If I ever met him in person, I would love to shake his hand and I'd probably fangirl out at this point. That's how impactful it was. Sounds crazy. I know. Whatever. I'm a weirdo. But man, was he good. A true showman. Everything. Every part of his act was just absolute showmanship. The way he worked the crowd. He didn't say a word. He sang. When he sang, obviously he spoke words, but he didn't speak otherwise. And the way he commanded the crowd and worked and entertained, and even during his performances, the little nuanced little like gestures and facial expressions and action items he did was just, he's a showman. It was true entertainment. And that needs to be appreciated more. More people need to see this guy. Tremendous stuff. Absolutely tremendous. Now, back to the main attraction. The Weird Al performance was everything I wanted and more. If you're a fan of him at all, think about going to concerts, seeing him live. It is so much better in person than I ever imagined. Better than the albums even. The whole thing, and I'm not going to get into all the details of the show to ruin it for people who are going, but he sounds just as good live as he does on his albums. And it further, maybe this is why people like concerts so much. Maybe there are all the artists do that this well, and I just haven't been to enough concerts to know. I don't know. Hand up if I'm completely off on concerts. I just know the ones I've gone in the past have been too loud, and the performances were not as good as on their albums, so it kind of diluted the whole thing for me a little bit. I wasn't feeling it as much. So maybe I just need to go to more. I don't know. Somebody help me out here. If you've been to a lot of concerts, let me know. But he just outdid himself. There was obviously the nostalgia piece. There was a lot of songs that he played that I knew from childhood that also became big hits that he had to play them. It was almost like you can't be Weird Al and not play these particular songs at your concert. These are your bread and butter hits. Everybody knows them. And he played those. And then he played a ton of songs I don't even remember. Some of them I remember, but I was like, oh crap, I forgot he did this parody. And then some of them were like, I didn't know he did this at all. And then in between songs, when he was lining up his outfits with his songs. And in between, he would play in videos on the big screen. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it and ruin everything. But it was entertainment from start to finish. From start to finish. Everything, again, the whole show, he's like the Taylor Swift of parodies. He puts on a show so spectacular, you want to pay $600 per ticket. That is the big draw with Taylor Swift, is her concerts are unforgettable, legendary experiences because she has a command of every aspect of the show, not just her performance, singing. It's the order of operations with the songs. It's the costumes and attire and apparel for each song, and when she's changing and how it's going to lean into the next portion of the performance. It's the extras, what they're wearing, how they're interacting with the audience, and with her performance. It's the conversation she has in between songs, how she takes you on a journey. They also provide like bracelets and other doodads for the audience to wear that light up in sync with the rest of the show. Like, it's all just geniusly curated. And that's what he did in his own way, in his own Weird Al way. From his performance to the band's performance to how it lined up with the slides he was pushing, the pictures and videos in the background and the lighting and everything. And again, I've been living head in the sand, living under a rock when it comes to concerts. Maybe more like that than not. And like I said, I've just been head in the sand on the concert side of the house. But it was nostalgia. It was caliber of performance. The whole thing really just did it for me. And I can't speak highly enough about both of them, Puddles and Weird Al. I knew Weird Al was going to be good. I've been following him for, you can't go wrong with his stuff. He's created himself to be a household name, and I couldn't be more happy for him in that regard. And I hope he's proud of himself, and I hope he gets the joy and fulfillment that he brings to so many people. And the place was packed. It was a smaller theater. And I don't know if they did that because apparently they're doing a lot of outdoor style pavilion theaters on their tour. And I don't know if they did that on purpose because it's smaller. They can have a better impact on the fans. They can have a little bit more intimate interaction with them, or because it changes the dynamic of the show if it's too big of a stadium arena situation. Or maybe they were nervous they weren't going to get that many people. I don't know what it was, It ended up being it was perfect for this setting. Maybe that's why they know. Like this show is perfect for this level of setting, 10 to 20,000 people off for whatever. But the place was full, and again, it was an outdoor pavilion. And at the time the show started, it was 100 degrees outside in Texas. At the show start, and we were outside. And Creature and I were sitting there sweating, just sitting there. Just sitting there, we were sweating. And they're up there performing. They're not just singing, they're full on performances in different costumes, like full gear. Puddles is in a full clown costume. They're all in full gear, dancing around, moving, shaking, performing. Now, they did have an air, like one of those fan ACs, those power cooled fans blowing right in front of the microphone where this in center stage, but they were moving around the whole time, bouncing around. And they didn't miss a beat. And Weird Al didn't slow down at all. He didn't even look or sound tired at the end. During the last performance, like from start to finish, an incredible performance, and it did everything I you could ask for and more from your childhood musical like heroes, essentially. And I wish I had an eighth of the musical talent, because it just looked so fun. That just looks like such a fun thing to be able to make up these joke songs, these parodies, wear the costumes for the parodies, and then be able to entertain thousands and thousands of people doing it. It looked like they were having such a good time up there. And it was just, what a time. And I guess the lesson here is go see the concert. If you have a childhood hero, movie star, musician, whatever, go see, they always say don't meet your heroes, don't go see them or whatever. I know this is different. I didn't meet them, but um, don't be closed off because you had a couple bad experiences of some stuff. I don't like concerts. I almost didn't get the tickets because I was thinking like, they're gonna, concerts stink. It's gonna ruin my perception of this guy who, what's the word I'm thinking of? Cultivated and gifted me my very first cassette that I bought myself, which is crazy. Like the first musical thing I bought myself. Everyone's got their, like, I bought Bon Jovi, I bought Elvis, I bought the Beatles record, I bought Bruce Springsteen, I bought Frank Sinatra, whatever. I got a Weird Al cassette, and the cassette art artwork on there was him dressed as an Amish guy with Coolio's dreadlocks sticking up for Bad Hair Day for the album. This guy gifted me that, and then he blew me away, and I'm almost kicking myself for not thinking about going to other Weird Al concerts earlier on, because he is getting older. He's probably in his 60s now, or close to it. Puddles is 60, and he crushed. So I don't exactly know how old Weird Al is. I have to look it up. 50s, 60s, I'd say. So he can only be this dynamic for so long, but still, man, go see the concert. Go enjoy your heroes in the entertainment industry, and have that good time. Look, I can't speak completely for the Creech Daddy here, but he had an early day the next day for his work shift. He maybe got 3 hours of sleep, if that, after the concert. And there was nothing stopping him from going with me still. And I would imagine, if I would venture to guess, if I asked him if he was on the show, we got to get him on as a guest again, by the way. if he was on right now, he would say absolutely well worth it. And that was always stuff that would hold me back historically is I got to work early the next day, or I'm too busy. I can't, I don't really want to spend the money on this, this and that. Obviously, don't buy yourself, buy yourself out of house and home. Don't be stupid. But go see the show. Go see your heroes that shaped your childhood in the music world. Because man, was it good, and I hope he goes on tour again next year. I don't want him to burn out, but I sure would love to see him again play. And same with Puddles. I'll talk about a new fandom. Can't say enough good things about Puddles. Go check him out. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Very quickly, before we go, the big three, the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, being able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do at least one thing each and every day to improve your fitness and health and wellness, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. When the opportunity arises to be shitty and negative for any reason whatsoever, even if it's justified in your heart, take the LPDS step back, take a deep breath, detach from those negative emotions, and omit yourself, remove yourself from the situation. It is hard, I get it. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives, because you got good lives. Think about one good thing each day. It takes 1 minute to do. Think about one good thing and what your life would be like without that thing, and that'll immediately put you in the state of gratitude. And you just keep doing that a little bit more each and every day. And if you do these three things a little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more each and every day, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit those notifications. Tell your friends and enemies. Hit the hotline. 202-670-1114. Where is the hotline calls? I love the hotline. If somebody call it back. Puddles, call the hotline. You'd make my day. Weird Al, call it up. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.